It's like, you're going to talk about the Outreau case. I hadn't even gotten to that case, actually, because there's just so many to choose from. But now we're going to talk about the Outreau case. They're like, no, you can't. It doesn't matter what lawyers defend. Oh, but it's also interesting, isn't it? It's also interesting. And I got to tell you, one of the things that really stands out to me about the Monochet affair, and you can go look into this yourself, Dennis Monochet affair, is the familiar locations. Amiens, the birthplace of the Macron'S, Brigitte and Emmanuel. Then there's Pas de Calais, which he moves out to, which is like an hour away. Now, if Pas de Calais is sounding familiar to you, it's because that's where Emmanuel Macron, when we get into his biography, he almost ran for political office there. That's where he begins his career. But also where Brigitte begins her career as a press secretary of the Chamber of Commerce, before then radically deciding to become a teacher. Then she teaches Emmanuel. It's all very convoluted. They're just in the same place all the time. Well, there was another case that took place in Pas de Calais, and I think this one, we're just going to go ahead here and pull up the Wikipedia and not get too much into the weeds here. But yes, the Outreau case refers to a criminal case of pedophilia, which took place between 1997 and 2000 in Outreau. Again, that's Pas de Calais. And it tells us here it was a long investigation which revealed an extensive pedophile network. Around 40 adults have been accused and around 50 children were potentially victims. Now, this wasn't just your average pedophilia because it was also incest. And it tells us that the trial took place in 2004, a criminal trial court in Pas de Calais, where 12 children were recognized to be victims of rape, sexual assault, corruption, minors, and pimping. 10 of the 17 accused adults are then sentenced to prison. But then there was this appeal trial that took place, and 6 of the 10 accused adults were acquitted, right? 4 of them not even having appealed. It says 4 having not even appealed, and yet they were acquitted. Who could have done that?
Wait, what? I can't take my eyes off for a second, can I? Hold on. Wait, what?
Because it was also incest. And it tells us that the trial took place in 2004. A criminal, go ahead here and pull up the Wikipedia and not get too much into the weeds here. But yes, the Outreau case refers to a criminal case of pedophilia, which took place between 1997 and 2000 in Outreau. Again, that's Pas de Calais.
These poor kids don't have a chance.
And it tells us here it was a long investigation which revealed an extensive pedophile network. Around 40 adults have been accused and around 50 children were potentially victims. Now, this wasn't just your average pedophilia because it was also incest. And it tells us that the trial took place in 2004, a criminal trial court in Pas de Calais, where 12 children were recognized to be victims of rape, sexual assault, corruption, minors, and pimping. 10 of the 17 accused adults are then sentenced to prison. But then there was this appeal trial that took place, and 6 of the 10 accused adults were acquitted, right? 4 of them not even having appealed. It says 4 having not even appealed, and yet they were acquitted. Who could have done that? Guys, it's Eric again, this guy. Oh my, Eric again. Not only did he get some of these adults acquitted, he also then did the most press. They tried to make these documentaries to make it seem like, oh, they were all, some of the parents were guilty of doing these things to their children. But, the other ones really were just swept up in all of it. If you scroll down, by the way, Skylar, to this Wikipedia section, go to the child victim's viewpoint, because I want to read that. When you get down there, and it's I know it's pretty long, there's a lot happening. Here we go, the child victim's viewpoint here. It says, with the 2023 release of a television series about the case on France 2, one of the victims, a child of the main family of the case, named Jonathan Delay, called for a boycott. He alleged that the series constituted media manipulation by presenting adults as being the first victims of this affair. The series does not show that certain children, including Jonathan Delay, remain convinced that some of the acquitted were in fact guilty. It goes on to read that during the hearing, the behavior of Eric Dupond-Moretti, lawyer for the Outreau acquitted, and later the French justice minister, is also called into question. According to a rumor that reappeared during the France 2 series, he terrorized a 7-year-old girl who, out of fear, urinated on herself. Now I'm going to let you know that his name is familiar because it's also in Becoming Brigitte, the book written by Xavier Poussard.
Oh.
And he tells the case about what Eric Dupond-Moretti did as we talk about this orbit that just is around the Macron'S. And actually, Eric Dupond-Moretti was denounced virulently by psychiatrists for his methods. So what happened was they got all these adults, they were guilty.
7U01 NI4. What's your point? What does that have to do with what's going on right now? 7U01 NI4. I mean, what was your point? Because I'm sure you're a hypocrite. Because I'm sure you have betrayed someone before as well. I mean, so what's your point? So all black people are supposed to be mad at Candace. Because at some point, she betrayed the NAACP. I mean, what's your point? Come on, because your comment, yeah, I'm calling you out on it. I'm asking you, what's your point? So speak up or get out. Now I'm going to ask you again, what's your point? Hypocrite. Yeah, you want to spread some propaganda to have black people turn on Candace because she done turned on the NAACP. So black people look at her and say, no, she got me done. I don't care what good she's doing for these kids right here, or the movement, or for anybody, or she has come to a realization that she has made some mistakes and she was wrong. Still cast her to the stones. I mean, what? Again, I'm going to ask you for the last time, 7U01 NI4, what is your point? What's your point? Because I know you done some whole stupid shit before, because you trifling now. Yeah. You trifling. Because one don't have anything to do with the other. You're a hater. Let me be the first one over here to tell you that you are a hater. And you have a heart condition. And you need to get your heart checked. You need to find Jesus. You need to ask him to forgive you of your sins. All of them. Past, present, and future. And let God do what he do with Candace and you and me and everybody else. Anybody who can take ownership of some of the mistakes that they have made, bad judgment, is all right with me. Yeah, so get out. You ain't welcome over here because you're a hypocrite. 7U01 NI4. Yeah, get your ass up out of here. That foolishness. You're a hypocrite. You're talking about kids that have been violated. And you bring your ass over here to stir up something. So that means that this is a touchy subject for you too. You're very familiar with it and you want to deflect and you don't want us to talk about it because what? Hi, Sharon. Y'all please double tap the face of the screen Get the likes up. Let's go.
Moretti was denounced
Thank you,
virulently
Stacy.
by psychiatrists for his methods. So what happened was they got all of these adults, they were guilty, and then he went in to question the children, right? And yeah, an expert psychiatrist named Gerard Lopez, during a hearing at the National Assembly, said this. He said, quote, "You know that Mr. Dupont-Moretti questioned a 7-year-old child in Saint Omer for 6 hours. He questioned a 7-year-old child for 6 hours, and he found that child's testimony to be inconsistent. This is what changed the Outreau trial. Remember that this was a case in which all of the children were recognized to be victims. All of them,
All
12
of
out
them.
of 12. So you see, a guy like Dupont-Moretti should not be tolerated. I'm an expert and he does not scare me. I've been an expert on the assize of courts for 30 years. But imagine a kid, imagine little Delay, who's been through horrors, with this bear, Eric Moretti, yelling at him, and the president saying nothing at all." End quote.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, you can go through all of the cases
Wow.
that he decides to intervene on, and the arguments that he makes and how he makes them and how he gets to that and how he gets these sentences reduced and gets people off. Now, in case you're like, Candace, this is kind of weird. Like, they're pedophilia, incest. Well, but at least we can say about Eric Moretti is none of these cases involve transgenderism. I'm kidding. Of course there's cases that involve transgenderism. Right now there's one going on. You can look this up. It's involving this Korean kid, Joachim Son-Forget. Joachim Son-Forget. Well, that's his old name. Now his name is, her name is Ava Forget. Long story short, I'm not going to get in details here. This is a Korean boy who's adopted by a Frenchman named Bernard Forget. And his adopted father right now is being accused of raping and sexually assaulting minors. Now, why is that relevant? Because Joachim, when he was Joachim, was working with Macron'S, got pictures with Alexander Benalla. He was considered, like, I guess in the context of America, we would call it like 30 under 30. This genius Korean kid who was very much involved in the campaign, had a huge political future. Well, now he's Ava, and these are allegations. We're not going to get too deep in it, but he's calling out Eric Moretti. He's calling out a network of people that he says know some stuff, know about stuff that's happening in France.
Gifts for the outdoors and the outdoorsy. Eddie Bauer.
Hi, this is Roy with the Resource Center. And one question I get a lot of times from claimants is, can Social Security watch my behavior, or can they do an investigation into the way that I live? And the answer to that question is yes. If Social Security has reason to believe that you're not shooting them straight, or that you're more capable than what you're reflecting in the records, your allegations can be explored.
So what are we to make of all of this? What are we to make of the fact that it just seems too impossible of a task for the Macron'S to find someone to represent them, to be around them, to fund them into office that does not have a story or defending a story, a person that involves these themes? I feel like they're laughing at us. I feel like this is like kinky for them. Like this is like an exhibitionist sport. Like they want to get caught. They just want to see how far they can push the envelope. Why would you then make this guy the justice minister? Is there nobody else available in France? And yeah, people rioted because of his track record here, but now you're involving him again in this case in America, and you have the audacity, to put in your filing against me. How dare she apply that our network, the syndicate, what is the exact verbiage, Skylar? Oh, Owen supported these claims of violence and criminality with statements that the Macron'S are surrounded by criminals, pedophiles, an extraordinary syndicate. Yeah, I would say the people that surround you are extraordinary. Brigitte, you can't even pick out a carpet. The person who designed the carpets getting swept up into a pedophile scandal. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, merci beaucoup. Oh, I don't know what's going on. I just didn't know. I had no idea. It's just everyone around us. It's not us. I don't know. Everyone around us is involved with these themes. And what's going on? Oh, okay, yeah, I mean, Yeah, sure, he was 14. Now we're saying 15. We're in the law for lawsuit's sake. When you guys were first running, you said 17. Then it went down to 16. Now we're at 15. I think with this lawsuit, we're going to get you to 14 because that's the truth. Yeah, sure, Candace. Yeah, whatever. He was on stage. He was so beautiful. This boy, he was so intelligent. Yes, I fell for this boy who happened to be 14, and it's weird. Whatever. But no, me? No. There's nothing weird about me. Nothing weird about my wig. That's what they're doing right now. And it just feels like a form of exhibition. It feels disturbing, and it's gotta be. Like, it must like the attention. I was asking myself this question. I was going, okay, you get away with it, right? You're a teacher. You mac on your student. You're so disgusting that his parents move him away. You admit that in a lawsuit. Why would you admit it in a lawsuit, right? You get away with it. You marry this kid who becomes an adult, and you marry him at this weird ceremony, which we haven't even covered that. We'll have to get that in our series 2, in our second season of this. Why then aspire to become the first lady? Like, what's that? That's what I mean when I say it's like there's something about this that has to be key for them. Because if you got away with it, wouldn't you just like disappear and be like, yay, I got my student? No, they're like, nope, gotta be the first lady. And I need to be worshipped, and now I need to sue, and I need to be so funny when I sue that I have Eric Moretti doing the rounds, being like, this is ridiculous, even though he like literally involved himself in cases where it wasn't even a question. It's like, yeah, no, this actually was pedophilia. This absolutely was happening, and it's in the same region that Macron and Brigitte grew up and started their careers, but nothing to see here. Candace is deranged, unhinged. No, there's nothing to see here. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's, I don't know. I just think we're pulling out a thread, and a lot's about to be revealed, and maybe Macron wants it to be. Like, maybe Emmanuel Macron wants it to be. Maybe, like, there's something masochistic about it for him, and he wants it to be revealed. He wants people to know, like, he's like, I don't know. We're going to say, though, obviously, because I am positively thrilled about this lawsuit. And I do want to say this to Claire Locke, Tom Claire doing the rounds on CNN. Is the money worth it? I gotta ask that question. I think it's fair to ask that question. Like, I don't personally, like, I'm looking at everybody sideways in France that's involved with this couple. I'm not looking at Tom Claire sideways. I know what this is. You're American. This is about the cash for you, right? You're making a lot of money doing this. But at a certain level, is it worth it? You know? Like, if I'm a lawyer, there has